Ethan was not born on a space colony. He grew up on Earth in a small town where people knew their neighbors and every day was almost the same. But when he got older, he wanted to see more of the galaxy. He heard stories about life on the frontier, where humans and aliens tried to build new worlds together. It sounded exciting, but also a little lonely. When Ethan got a job offer on the distant colony of New Laconia, he accepted even though it meant leaving everything behind. The journey to New Laconia was long. Ethan spent weeks on a transport ship, eating packaged meals and listening to old music to pass the time. He tried to picture what his new life would be like, but he could only imagine gray buildings, wide open fields, and maybe a few other people like him, hoping to find a place to belong. When he finally landed, the colony was smaller than he thought. It was built on flat land with low houses and roads made from local stone. Everything looked clean and new, but also empty. The air was cool, and the sky had a faint green color, different from anything he had seen before. He walked to his assigned living quarters, pulling his bag behind him. There was a small bed, a desk, and a window that looked out onto a strange blue-leaved tree. Ethan sat on the bed and let out a long sigh. He was really here. But he did not feel excited. He felt alone. At first, Ethan tried to keep busy. He worked at the colony's power station, making sure everything ran smoothly. His coworkers were friendly enough, but most of them had families or close friends. After work, Ethan went back to his quarters. He read, watched old shows, or walked the quiet streets. Some nights he stared at the stars and wondered if he had made the right choice. A few weeks later, Ethan overheard some people at the supply store talking about a new program. The colony's council had approved a system for settlers to purchase alien companions. These companions from many different species were meant to help humans adjust to life so far from Earth. Some were helpers, some were teachers, and some were just friends. The idea sounded strange to Ethan. Was it right to buy someone's company? But others said it made life easier. The loneliness was the hardest part of living on the frontier, and having a companion could help. Ethan thought about it for days. He told himself he did not need anyone, that he would get used to being alone. But each night the silence in his room grew heavier. Finally, after another quiet dinner by himself, he decided to look into the program. The application was simple. He had to answer questions about his daily life and what kind of companion might suit him. Ethan was honest. He wanted someone who liked quiet, someone who could share stories, someone who would not judge him if he made mistakes. A week later, Ethan got a message. His request had been approved. He would be assigned a companion from the planet Vera, a world known for its gentle people. Ethan did not know much about the Verans. He read that they were peaceful, liked gardens and water, and often sang songs to each other. The report said his companion's name was Lyra. She would arrive in 2 days. Ethan cleaned his home and tried to make space for another person. He did not know what Lyra would need, but he set out extra blankets and made a spot at the table. He worried about saying the wrong thing or making her feel unwelcome. He wondered if she would speak his language or if she would look very different from humans. The day before she arrived, he could hardly sleep. He kept thinking, what if she is unhappy here? What if she is only pretending to like this? On the morning Lyra was due to arrive, Ethan waited by the colony's small landing pad. The transport ship was small and painted silver. When the door opened, he saw a figure step out. Lyra was taller than he expected. Her skin was a soft blue, and her eyes were large and green. Her hair looked like silver ribbons, and when she moved, she walked with quiet grace. She wore a simple dress and carried a small bag. When she saw Ethan, she smiled, and the smile was warm and real. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Hello, I'm Ethan," he said. His voice sounded too loud in the open space. Lyra bowed her head a little. "Hello, Ethan, I am Lara. Thank you for welcoming me." She spoke clear English with a gentle accent. Ethan felt some of his worry fade. He reached for her bag, but she shook her head. "It is light, I can carry it." They walked together to his home. Lyra looked around with interest, pointing at the blue-leaved trees and the strange birds that called from the branches. "Your world is beautiful," she said. "So much sky, so many colors." Ethan nodded. I guess I did not notice before. Inside. He showed her around. He pointed out the kitchen, the bathroom, and her room. Lyra ran her fingers over the windowsill and smiled at the sunlight. She thanked Ethan again for preparing a space for her. The first day passed quietly. Ethan made lunch, and they ate together. Lyra asked questions about the food, about why Ethan came to New Laconia, and about his life on Earth. She listened carefully, never interrupting. When Ethan asked about her home, Lyra's eyes shone. She described the great lakes of Vera, the singing flowers, and the bright nights when her people danced under the stars. Her words painted pictures, and for a moment, Ethan felt like he could see her world. After lunch, Lyra asked if she could see the garden. Behind the house, there was a patch of land where Ethan had tried to grow vegetables. Most of them had not done well in the alien soil. Lyra knelt down and gently touched the plants. "With care, these can grow," she said. She began to pull weeds. Humming a tune that sounded like water running over stones, Ethan watched her work. He had worried that Lyra would be sad or silent, that she would miss her home too much. But she looked at peace, her face soft in the sunlight. When she finished, she stood and smiled at him again. "Thank you for letting me help," she said. "I love gardens." That night, Ethan lay awake and thought about the day. Lyra had not complained. Not once. She had smiled, laughed softly, and listened to every word he said. Was it possible she was really happy? Or was she only acting this way because she thought it was what he wanted? As the days passed, Ethan tried to learn more about Lyra. He noticed the small things she did tidying the house, leaving flowers on the table, making simple meals with whatever they had. She did not seem to mind the quiet evenings. Sometimes she sang to herself soft songs that filled the rooms with warmth. When Ethan joined her for tea, she always poured his cup first and thanked him for sharing his home. Ethan's worries did not go away, but he began to look forward to their time together. The house felt less empty. When he came home from work, there was always a light on, and Lyra waiting to greet him with a gentle smile. She did not ask for much, only that she could help in the garden or sit with him while he told stories about Earth. Other people in the colony started to notice the change. A neighbor stopped by one evening and saw Lyra singing in the garden. Later, he told Ethan, "She seems really happy." "You were lucky." Ethan only nodded. He still wondered if it was true. But as he watched Lyra laugh with the birds or gently care for the plants, he began to hope that maybe, just maybe, her happiness was real. And maybe, with time, he could be happy here too. Ethan and Lyra started to settle into their new life together. Every morning, Ethan woke up early to get ready for work, and Lyra was already awake, singing a gentle song while she prepared breakfast. The small house always smelled fresh because Lyra loved to open the windows and let in the cool morning air. Ethan was not used to sharing his space, but somehow, having Lyra there made his home feel warm and alive. Lyra was very curious about everything Ethan did. She followed him around the house, asking questions about the machines he used to make coffee or wash clothes. She wanted to learn how every tool worked. Ethan showed her how to use the old radio, and soon Lyra liked to listen to human music in the afternoons, humming along with the songs she liked best. On weekends, Ethan did not have to work at the power station, so he and Lyra explored the colony together. They walked down the quiet streets, looking at the new buildings and the strange plants that grew along the road. Lyra always stopped to examine any flower she saw, gently touching the petals with her blue fingers. She told Ethan stories about the flowers on her own world, which glowed in the moonlight and sang with the wind. One day, Lyra asked if she could visit the colony's small market. Ethan agreed, and they went together. The market was held under a big tent, with tables full of local food, tools, and small things people had made. Some of the settlers were surprised to see Ethan with his new companion, but Lyra smiled at everyone and greeted them kindly. She was interested in everything for sale, from shiny rocks to baskets of fruit. She picked up a round, purple fruit and held it to her nose, laughing at its sweet smell. Ethan bought two for them to try later. Lyra enjoyed helping Ethan with his chores. She learned to cook human food, even if some recipes confused her. She liked to taste new things and always said thank you, even when the food was not very good. When Ethan fixed things around the house, Lyra watched and handed him tools. She asked questions about how things worked, and sometimes she even had ideas that made the repairs easier. Ethan was surprised by how quickly she understood things. Even though she had never seen human technology before. As days passed, Ethan began to notice how much he enjoyed talking to Lyra. She listened to him with care, never rushing him or judging his stories. When he told her about his family back on Earth, about his old life and why he had come to New Laconia, Lyra listened quietly and asked gentle questions. She wanted to know everything about him. For the first time since leaving Earth, Ethan felt truly seen. One afternoon, Ethan was working in the garden and Lyra joined him. She was excited to try growing new plants. She knelt beside Ethan and helped him dig small holes for seeds. As they worked, she hummed a soft tune from her homeworld. The garden slowly began to change, looking greener and more alive each day. Lyra was patient, watering the plants and caring for them. She often talked to them as if they could hear her, and Ethan liked to listen to her gentle words. Other settlers started to notice Lyra's cheerful spirit. Some came by to watch her work in the garden, surprised by her kindness and her bright smile. A woman named Linda brought her a basket of seeds and asked for advice on growing flowers. Lyra was happy to help, sharing what she knew from her own planet. Linda later told Ethan, "Your companion is special. She brings life wherever she goes." At the same time, not everyone in the colony accepted Lyra so quickly. Some people looked at her with suspicion or whispered when they passed by. Ethan noticed but tried not to let it bother him. Lyra did not seem to mind. She told Ethan that her people believed in kindness and patience. "Sometimes hearts are slow to open," she said, "but kindness can change them." One evening, Ethan invited Lyra to watch a movie with him. He wanted to share something from his old life on Earth. Lyra sat beside him, her eyes wide with wonder as she watched the story unfold on the screen. She laughed at the funny parts and cried softly at the sad moments. When the movie ended, she thanked Ethan for sharing it with her. "Stories help me understand humans," she said. "They show me what you love and what makes you sad." As days turned to weeks, Ethan's feelings about Lyra started to change. At first, he had worried she might be unhappy or that she was only acting cheerful because it was her duty. But now he saw how genuinely she enjoyed every new thing, how she found joy in small moments. Lyra loved learning, exploring, and caring. For others, she was not pretending. She was truly happy. One night, Ethan and Lyra sat outside under the stars. The sky above New Laconia was filled with strange constellations, different from the ones Ethan knew on Earth. Lyra pointed out her favorite star, a bright blue one she called Shira. "On my world, we believe Shira watches over travelers," she explained. Ethan listened as Lyra told stories about her people and their beliefs. Her voice was soft and calm, and Ethan felt a sense of peace he had not felt in a long time. As they sat together, Ethan realized he was no longer lonely. Lyra had brought warmth and laughter into his life. She made the empty house feel like a real home. Ethan wondered how he had ever managed without her. He was grateful for her friendship, and he started to look forward to every day they shared. The colony soon held a small festival to celebrate the founding of New Laconia. Ethan and Lyra went together, walking among the stalls and games. Lyra tried new foods, danced with children, and laughed with strangers. She was not shy or afraid. She greeted everyone with kindness. Some of the settlers who had been unsure about her now saw her true nature. They talked to her, asked about her homeworld, and even invited her to join their gardening group. After the festival, Ethan and Lyra returned home, tired but happy. Lyra thanked Ethan for taking her. "You have given me many good memories," she said. Ethan smiled and told her that she had done the same for him. One afternoon, Ethan decided to ask Lyra about her life before coming to New Laconia. They sat at the table, drinking tea as sunlight filled the room. Ethan spoke softly, worried that he might hurt her feelings. "Lyra, do you ever miss your home?" he asked. "Are you really happy here?" Lyra looked at Ethan with gentle eyes. "I do miss my world sometimes," she said, but I wanted to come here. On Vera, we believe in seeking new adventures. Companionship is not a burden for us, it is a chance to learn and share. I chose this path. I am happy because I am learning new things and making a new friend. Ethan felt relief and gratitude. He had worried for nothing. Lyra truly meant what she said. She was not just a helper or someone to make his life easier. She was a real friend. Ethan promised himself that he would always respect her and treat her with kindness. From that day, Ethan and Lyra shared more stories about their pasts. Ethan learned about the festivals of Vera, the music, the art, and the ways Lyra's people celebrated life. In return, Ethan told her about Earth seasons, the feeling of snow, the taste of fresh apples, and the sound of rain on the roof. They found joy in discovering what made each other's world special. As their friendship grew, Ethan felt the weight of loneliness lift from his shoulders. Lyra's happiness was real, and it became a light that shone in his life. Every day brought something new to learn, a new reason to laugh, and a new moment to be thankful for. The colony was no longer just a place to live, it was a place to belong, and Lyra was the reason why. Ethan woke up each morning feeling more at home on New Laconia, and he knew Lyra was a big reason for this. Every day brought something new. Lyra's happiness was gentle but strong, like the sunlight through the kitchen window. She was eager to help with anything and always smiled, making even the smallest moments special. One morning, Ethan went to the garden and found Lyra already there. She was talking softly to the plants, her blue fingers gently brushing away bits of soil. The vegetables had started to grow better, and even the flowers looked brighter. Lyra's songs, she said, help plants feel loved. Ethan listened as her words filled the air, calm and sweet. He could not help but smile. It was hard to be unhappy with someone so cheerful nearby. Later that day, a few neighbors stopped to chat. They wanted to know Lyra's secret for such a good garden. Lyra explained her simple ways, how patience and kindness made everything grow. Some people at first only nodded politely, but when Lyra handed them fresh herbs with a big smile, they thanked her and promised to try her methods. Linda, the woman who had given Lyra seeds, became a regular visitor. She brought Lyra small gifts, more seeds, cuttings, and sometimes homemade bread. Lyra welcomed Linda each time, happy to have another friend. Ethan noticed more people coming to their house. Some were curious about Lyra, while others just wanted to talk. Lyra treated everyone with the same gentle respect. She listened, remembered people's names, and always offered tea or fruit. The little house, once so quiet, was now filled with voices and laughter. Ethan found himself enjoying the company. Lyra's presence changed not only his life, but also the feeling of the whole neighborhood. Of course, not everyone was happy. Some colonists looked at Lyra with suspicion. They whispered among themselves, saying humans should not trust alien companions so easily. Ethan sometimes heard the comments. He tried to ignore them, but it bothered him. He wanted to protect Lyra from any unkindness, though she seemed not to notice. When Ethan asked if she was ever upset by the rude words, Lyra just shook her head gently. "My people believe kindness grows stronger when it is shared," Lyra told him. "If someone is unkind, it is because their heart is closed. Maybe in time it will open." Ethan admired her patience. He tried to learn from her, reminding himself to be gentle even when he was tired or frustrated. At work, he noticed he was less quick to judge others. He listened more and found it easier to talk to his coworkers. Some even asked him about Lyra, curious about how life was at home. Ethan spoke with pride, saying Lyra was a wonderful companion and friend. One weekend, there was a small gathering in the colony's main square. The settlers brought food and music. Children played games, and everyone was welcome. Ethan and Lyra went together, carrying a basket of fresh vegetables from their garden. At first, Ethan worried people would stare at Lyra or treat her differently. But when they arrived, Linda waved them over, smiling brightly. She introduced Lyra to her friends, saying, "This is the one who made my garden bloom." Soon, Lyra was surrounded by people asking questions, sharing stories, and laughing together. Ethan watched as Lyra fit in so easily. She danced with the children, tried every kind of food, and even joined in the singing. When one man played a simple tune on a wooden flute, Lyra clapped and then sang a song from her homeworld. Her voice was soft and sweet, and even those who had doubted her before listened quietly. The music drifted through the square, and for a moment, it felt like everyone in the colony was united by her song. After the gathering, Ethan and Lyra walked home under the strange green sky. Lyra talked about all the people she met and the new foods she had tried. She was grateful for every moment and thanked Ethan for sharing the day with her. Ethan realized how much he liked hearing her thoughts. She always found something good, even in the smallest things. Life was not always easy. One afternoon, a strong windstorm swept through the colony. The sky grew dark and the wind bent the trees nearly to the ground. Ethan and Lyra rushed to close the windows and protect the garden. Some plants were damaged and part of the fence blew over. Lyra looked sad as she picked up broken branches, but she did not complain. Instead, she hummed one of her calming songs. As she worked, Ethan joined her, feeling her calmness help him focus. Together, they fixed what they could and promised to replant the garden the next day. The storm brought neighbors together. Linda came to check on them, and soon others followed, offering help and tools. Lyra led the group with gentle instructions, and her kindness inspired everyone. By the evening, the garden was tidy again, and the house was safe. Ethan realized the storm had not only tested their strength, but also brought the community closer. Many people stayed for tea, sharing stories and laughter late into the night. One evening, as Ethan and Lyra sat on the porch, Ethan spoke about his worries. He said he sometimes felt like an outsider, unsure if he would ever truly belong on New Laconia. Lyra listened, her eyes kind and understanding. She told Ethan that even among her own people, she sometimes felt different, but learning and sharing with others helped her feel at home. Belonging does not come all at once, she said. It grows with each good moment and every act of kindness. Ethan was grateful for her words. He realized that belonging was something both of them were building together. He thanked Lyra for her friendship and for showing him a new way to see the world. Not long after, Linda invited Ethan and Lyra to a small dinner at her house. Lyra was excited to help prepare food, eager to try new recipes. They made simple dishes, and Lyra brought a bowl of fresh herbs from the garden. At dinner, Linda's family asked many questions about Lyra's homeworld. Lyra answered happily, telling stories of moonlit lakes, singing flowers, and peaceful nights. Linda's children listened with wide eyes, and even the adults seemed touched by Lyra's gentle words. When they left, Linda hugged Lyra and thanked her for coming. "You are always welcome here," she said. Lyra was quiet on the walk home, but she smiled softly. "I feel lucky," she told Ethan. "Every day brings a new friend, a new story." Ethan realized Lyra's happiness was real. She did not pretend or hide her feelings. She truly enjoyed her life on New Laconia and was proud to share her kindness with others. Ethan felt proud, too proud to be her friend and to have her as part of his life. As the days passed, more people accepted Lyra. Some who had once whispered now greeted her with smiles. She became known for her songs and her caring heart. The garden behind Ethan's house grew brighter, and so did the bonds between neighbors. Ethan knew there would still be hard days ahead, but with Lyra beside him, he believed anything was possible. Each night, as the stars filled the sky, Ethan and Lyra sat together, sharing stories and dreams for the future. They were no longer just companions. They were partners, two lives joined by kindness, trust, and a hope for better days. Together they were building a new kind of home, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. Ethan woke to a clear morning and the soft hum of Lyra's song. She stood by the window, watching the sunrise paint the sky in pale green and pink. Her silver hair caught the light, and Ethan felt a gentle peace settle over him. He walked to her side, and she smiled. "Good morning," she said. "I thought today we could plant new seeds in the garden." Ethan nodded. The garden had survived the storm, but many plants needed more care. He grabbed a trowel and seed packets, and together they stepped outside. The soil was soft after last night's rain. Lyra pointed to empty patches and suggested bright flowers or new herbs. Ethan followed her lead, digging holes and placing seeds carefully. They worked side by side, and Ethan found himself talking about his hopes for the garden and for the colony. Lyra listened, nodding, and offered gentle words of support. By midday, the garden looked fresh, with rows of seeds waiting to grow. Lyra watered each row and hummed to the plants, her voice soft and calming. Ethan watched her kindness, feeling warmth in his chest. Before lunch, they went inside to rest. Lyra made tea with herbs she had gathered, and Ethan told her about a book he missed from Earth. Lyra's eyes lit up as she asked questions, and Ethan promised to read a chapter aloud later. After eating, Ethan walked to the market to get supplies. Lyra stayed home to tidy the house and finish her songs. On his way back, Ethan ran into a colleague named Marcus. Marcus had been distant since Ethan got Lyra. "Hey, Ethan," Marcus said. "I wanted to say I saw your companion in the square. During the festival, she sang that song, right?" Ethan nodded. "Yes, she did. It was from her homeworld." Marcus looked uncertain. "She ... seems genuine. I always thought these companions were only programmed to act happy. Seeing her made me wonder." "She looks so real," Ethan smiled. "She is real. Lyra chose to come here. She is happy." Marcus nodded again, slower. "Thanks. I needed to hear that." Ethan walked home feeling hopeful. Lyra's kindness was making a real difference. He found her in the kitchen, humming and tending small plants by the window. "Lyra." Marcus stopped by, he said. Lyra turned and smiled. "He is curious. That is good." Ethan helped her plant new herbs in pots. They worked quietly, enjoying the afternoon light. That evening, Ethan read the book aloud to Lyra. His voice was calm and clear as he described the story of a traveler who sought a legendary city. Lyra listened, her green eyes bright. When he finished the chapter, she clapped softly. "Thank you, Ethan," she said. "Your world has many stories. I love hearing them." They sat together in silence for a moment. Ethan reached for Lyra's hand. She squeezed it gently, and he felt a surge of joy. A week later, trouble came to the colony. The power station where Ethan worked had a malfunction. The lights flickered and some homes lost heat. Ethan rushed to the station and found pipes leaking and circuits overloaded. He tried to fix it, but the problem was bigger than he expected. He called for help, and Marcus arrived with others. Lyra, hearing the alarms, came running from the house. She arrived just as the station's door opened. "Ethan," she called. "Be careful." Ethan smiled briefly. "I'm fine, Lyra. Go home. Stay safe." Lyra refused. She stepped forward, offering water and calm words. She talked to the crew, reminding them to breathe and work steadily. Her calm presence helped everyone focus. Soon, the leak was sealed and the circuits reset. The lights returned and warmth came back to the colony. Ethan turned to Lyra. "Thank you." "You helped more than you know." Lyra shook her head. "Everyone helped. I only reminded them to stay calm." Ethan hugged her, grateful. The next day, the colony held a small ceremony to thank those who helped restore the power. The council invited Marcus, Ethan, and a few others. To everyone's surprise, they called Lyra forward. 2. "There's no way we could have done this without everyone's help," the council leader said. "This includes our new companion, Lyra, whose calm spirit helped us through a difficult night." The crowd cheered, and Lyra bowed gracefully. Ethan felt proud and happy. He took Lyra's hand and led her back to their home. That night, they sat by candlelight. Lyra looked at Ethan and said, "I feel honored. Thank you." Ethan replied, "You deserve it. You helped us all." Days passed and the colony was calmer. Lyra's acceptance by more settlers made Ethan smile. Their friendship had grown from simple companionship to something strong and true. One morning, Ethan woke to find Lyra gone from her bed. He looked around and saw her in the garden planting a new tree. It was small but sturdy, with bright leaves. Lyra smiled when she saw him. "I wanted to plant something that will live many years," she said. "So people will remember this time." Ethan helped her dig a hole for the tree. As they worked, he thought about how much had changed since she arrived. The colony was more united, the garden more alive, and his heart more open. When the tree was in place, Lyra poured water at its base and sang a soft song. Ethan listened to her words, feeling the promise of new growth. Later, Lyra asked if they could invite neighbors for tea under the tree. Ethan agreed and sent invitations. On the chosen afternoon, people came with cups and treats. They sat beneath the new tree, sharing stories and laughter. Lyra led a simple ceremony. She spoke about unity, kindness, and hope. She thanked everyone for welcoming her and for letting her be part of the colony. The settlers, moved by her words, clapped and cheered. Afterwards, people lingered, talking and celebrating. Ethan watched Lyra speak with them, her smile bright. He felt a swell of love and pride. She was his friend, his companion, and now true member of this community. That night, Ethan and Lyra walked home in silence. The new tree stood under the stars, its leaves shimmering in the moonlight. "I am happy," Lyra said quietly. Ethan stopped and looked at her. "I know, you deserve to be." They held each other close, feeling the gentle night air. Together, they had weathered storms, built gardens, and brought hope. Their bond had changed everyone around them. Ethan realized that Lyra's happiness was real, and it had made him happy too. He knew their journey still had many parts ahead, but with Lyra by his side, he was ready for whatever came next. The morning air was crisp when Ethan and Lyra stepped outside. The new tree they had planted stood tall, its leaves rustling gently. Around it, the garden was full of life. Herbs, vegetables, and bright flowers swayed in the light breeze. Neighbors often stopped by to admire their work or to chat. Ethan felt pride as he watched Lyra kneel by a row of young seedlings. She gently touched each leaf and hummed one of her healing songs. "Good morning, Ethan," Lyra said. Her voice was soft and calm. Ethan smiled. "Morning, Lyra. How are the plants today?" Lyra's green eyes shone. "They are happy. They grow stronger each day." Ethan nodded and joined her in the garden. They spent the first hour together, weeding and watering. The sunlight warmed their backs. Each day, the garden became more of a sanctuary, a place where humans and alien life thrived side by side. After their morning chores, Ethan prepared for work. He left Lyra tending the garden and walked to the power station. The path took him past the small market and the colony's communal hall. People greeted him, many of them smiling because of Lyra's good influence. At the station, Ethan found the morning shift busy. A technician reported a glitch in the water filtration system. Ethan and his team went to inspect it. The system was old, and some filters were clogged. Ethan directed the repair, and the team worked together smoothly. As they finished, Ethan thought of Lyra's calm leadership during the power outage. He realized how much he had grown since. She arrived. By midday, Ethan walked home. He found Lyra sitting by the new tree, reading from a small datapad. She looked up and smiled as he approached. "You are home early," she said, closing the pad. "I finished my work faster than usual," Ethan replied. "I helped fix the water filters. It was easy with my whole team working together." Lyra stood and offered her hand. "Let me help you celebrate," she said. They decided to walk to the nearby stream. The water ran clear and cold over smooth stones. Lyra knelt at the edge and dipped her hands in the water. Ethan watched as she carefully picked up a handful and let it flow through her fingers. "On Vera, our streams glow at night," she said. "The water has healing properties." Ethan listened, fascinated. "It sounds wonderful. I wish I could see it," Lyra smiled. "Maybe one day I will show you." They sat on a rock by the water and shared a simple lunch. Lyra had prepared wraps with fresh herbs and vegetables from their garden. Ethan tasted each one and praised her skills. They talked about their plans for the evening. Lyra wanted to cook a special meal with new recipes she had found. Ethan suggested inviting neighbors to join them. Lyra's eyes brightened at the idea. After lunch, Ethan returned to the house to rest. Lyra continued to read and make notes about new plants she wanted to try. Every now and then, she would hum a soft tune. In the afternoon, a message arrived from the Colony Council. They asked Ethan to attend a meeting about expanding the settlement to a new area. The council needed advice on building power lines and water systems. Ethan knew this was important work, but he also felt a need to share it with Lyra. Ethan left for the meeting, thinking about how to explain the technical details simply. He arrived at the council chamber, a low building with glass walls that looked onto the plains. Several elders and engineers were present. When Ethan spoke, he described the project clearly, offering ideas for sustainable power and water recycling. The council members listened and took notes. At the end, the lead engineer thanked Ethan for his clear plan. As he left the chamber, Ethan thought about Lyra. He wanted her to know how she had inspired him to be better. He returned home and found Lyra in the kitchen, mixing ingredients. "What is all this?" Ethan asked. Lyra turned, holding a small dish. "I'm making a spice blend from Vera," she said. "I thought we could try it tonight." Ethan tasted a small bit. It was fragrant and warm. "This will be amazing." He told her about the council meeting. Lyra listened, pride in her eyes. "You help everyone with your work," she said. "I help with my songs and food. Together we make this colony better." Ethan felt a surge of love. "I could not do this without you, Lyra." They spent the afternoon together, preparing the meal. Lyra taught Ethan how to mix the spices properly. The kitchen filled with new scents. Ethan cut vegetables and Lyra guided him with gentle encouragement. As evening fell, they set the table outside under the stars. Lanterns hung from the new tree, casting soft light. The air was cool and calm. Neighbors arrived, bringing a few dishes of their own. Linda came with fresh bread, Marcus with roasted nuts, and other settlers with small gifts. They all sat together, sharing stories and food. Ethan spoke of the new settlement plans, and Lyra translated some technical terms into simpler ideas so everyone could understand. The group laughed and asked questions. Lyra's voice was soothing, and her explanations helped people feel included. After dinner, Lyra stood to sing. Her song told of journeys and new beginnings. The melody was soft, but powerful. The settlers listened in silence, moved by her voice. When she finished, Ethan applauded loudly, and others joined him. Lyra bowed, smiling humbly. As the gathering ended, neighbors thanked Ethan and Lyra. Marcus approached Ethan. "Your companion is more than I ever expected," he said. "She brings out the best in everyone." Ethan nodded, pride filling his heart. "She brings out the best in me." Later, when the last guests had left, Ethan and Lyra cleaned up together. The garden lanterns flickered, and the new tree stood quietly above them. Ethan poured them each a cup of herbal tea. Tonight was special, Ethan said, handing Lyra her cup. Lyra sipped and closed her eyes. "I am happy," she said softly. "Thank you for this evening." Ethan took Lyra's hand. "Thank you for being you." They sat in silence, watching the stars. The night was still and peaceful. Ethan felt warmth in his chest, knowing he had found more than just a companion. He had found a friend, a partner, and a new way to see the world. Over the next days, life in the colony continued. Ethan worked on the new settlement plans, and Lyra explored new recipes and songs. The garden thrived, and neighbors came by often. Each day brought simple joys: a shared meal, a new bloom in the garden, a greeting from a passerby. One afternoon, Ethan found an old photo of Earth in a storage box. It showed him as a child standing in a green field with his family. He held the photo for a long time, thinking of home. Lyra noticed and sat beside him. "Do you miss it?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "Sometimes." Lyra placed a gentle hand on his. "Your home is here now, too. We make a new world together." Ethan felt tears in his eyes. He realized she was right. He had come to New Laconia alone, unsure of himself. Now, with Lyra, he had built a family, a community, and a future. As the sun set that day, Ethan and Lyra stood by the new tree. They watched the sky turn from green to dark blue. Lyra's hand rested in Ethan's. "We have 5 parts together," Ethan said softly. "Now only one remains." Lyra looked at him and smiled. "We will face it together, as always." Together they turned toward home, ready for whatever lay ahead. Ethan woke before sunrise, as he often did. The sky was still dark, but the air was cool and calm. He dressed quietly and stepped outside to the garden. Lyra was already there, tending to the plants by the light of a small lamp. She hovered over the herbs, her soft humming drifting through the air. "Good morning, Lyra," Ethan whispered. Lyra turned, her green eyes bright even in low light. Good morning, Ethan. The plants are ready for today's work. Ethan nodded and joined her among the rows of seedlings. Today was the day he would start a new project at the colony, building a small research center to study local plants and help improve food production. It was a big task, but he felt ready. Lyra was by his side, and that made all the difference. By mid-morning, they walked into the colony's central area. A group of engineers, gardeners, and scientists waited. The council leader stood with them, holding a data slate. When Ethan and Lyra arrived, the leader smiled. Thank you for joining us, she said. This project will benefit everyone. We will look at plants that grow well here and find ways to improve yields. Ethan, you will guide the technical side. Lyra, you will help with botanical research. Lyra bowed her head. I am honored. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Together, he and Lyra led the group to an open field near the edge of the colony. The ground was rich and slightly damp. Lyra knelt down and pressed her hand into the soil, closing her eyes. Anvera, she said softly, we listen to the earth before planting. It tells us what it needs. Ethan watched as Lyra hummed a gentle tune. Then she stood and looked around. This land feels eager to help us grow, she said. We must care for it kindly. The team worked together, digging small plots and planting seeds. Lyra guided them in the planting patterns that help plants share water and sunlight. Ethan measured distances and took notes, ensuring everything was precise. Other settlers brought tools, water, and shade cloth. The air filled with chatter and laughter as the project progressed. That evening, the group gathered to review the day's work. The council leader praised their efforts. Tomorrow we will add sensors and monitoring systems. Then we will track plant growth and share data with everyone. Ethan smiled at Lyra. He knew her guidance would make the research center a success. After the meeting, Ethan and Lyra walked home under a sky full of stars. The colony lights shone below like a map of glowing dots. Lyra stopped and looked at the night. I have never seen so many lights, she said. Ethan took her hand. It is beautiful. Each light is a home, a person living their life. Lyra squeezed his hand. And you have made many people's lives better. Ethan felt moved. I could not do it alone. Lyra smiled. We do it together. The next day, the team began installing small devices in the ground. The sensors measured moisture, temperature, and sunlight. Lyra showed the scientists how to read the data and adjust watering schedules. Children from the colony school came by to watch. Lyra invited them to touch the soil and smelled the herbs. She told them simple stories about plants on her homeworld. The children listened with wide eyes, asking questions and laughing. One child, a boy named Theo, asked if he could plant a seed. Lyra knelt beside him and guided his small fingers. Theo planted the seed carefully and patted the soil. Thank you, he said, looking up at Lyra. Lyra single quotes as face lit up. You are welcome, Theo. You will help this plant grow. Ethan saw how. Lyra's kindness inspired even the youngest settlers. He felt proud to work beside her. Over the next weeks, the research center took shape. The plots grew green and data streamed in. The team held meetings to discuss results. They shared their findings with local farmers and gardeners. Yields improved, and soon the colony had more food than ever before. One afternoon, the council held a celebration. They invited everyone to walk through the research gardens. Lyra led the group, explaining plant traits and best practices. The settlers listened and took notes. At the end, the council leader spoke again. Thanks to your work, our colony will thrive. We honor Ethan for his leadership and Lyra for her wisdom. The crowd cheered and Lyra bowed. Tears glistened in Ethan's eyes. He hugged her gently, and she smiled. As the celebration ended, neighbors approached to thank them. Linda brought fresh herbs and a loaf of bread. Marcus offered his congratulations. Even those who had once been doubtful now spoke kindly. That night, Ethan and Lyra sat by the new tree. The garden around them glowed in lantern light. They drank tea and spoke quietly. Do you remember our first days here? Ethan asked. Lyra closed her eyes and nodded. I felt alone and worried. But you welcomed me. Ethan reached for her hand. I felt lonely too. You changed that, Lyra smiled. We changed each other. Ethan thought about their journey. From a quiet house with shy greetings to a bustling research center and a thriving community, they had grown together. Lyra's genuine happiness had spread like sunlight, warming everyone she met. Do you think your people on Vera would be surprised? Ethan asked. Lyra laughed softly. They would be happy to hear. They know I seek new adventures. Ethan looked up at the stars. Maybe one day we will visit Vera together. Lyra's eyes shone. I would like that. In the days that followed, Ethan and Lara continued their work. The research center became a place of learning for all ages. Children came for lessons and adults gathered to share seeds and stories. The garden outside their home flourished, a living symbol of hope and cooperation. One morning, as Ethan and Lyra worked side by side, a cargo transport landed. It brought supplies and a message from Earth. Ethan opened the message and read aloud. His family sent their love and asked when he would return. He paused, looking at Lyra. I miss them, he said quietly. Lyra placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. They are part of you. You can visit, but your home is here too, Ethan nodded. I will tell them about you and the colony. I want them to see what you have done, Lyra smiled. They will be proud. Ethan finished reading and looked at Lyra. He felt a deep gratitude for her friendship, her strength, and her unwavering happiness. That evening, the colony held a final event to mark the completion of their first big project. Under the lanterns and the stars, Lyra sang a new song, one she had written about friendship and growth. The settlers joined in, humming along. Ethan stood beside her, feeling the warmth of the community around them. When the song ended, Ethan spoke to the crowd. We began this journey feeling alone, he said. But together we grew stronger. Lyra showed us kindness and hope. She taught us that happiness can be real and shared. The crowd cheered. Lyra bowed her head, smiling softly at the celebration. Wound down, Ethan and Lyra walked home hand in hand. The garden was quiet now, the lanterns glowing like stars on the ground. Ethan stopped and turned to Lyra. I'm glad I chose you, he said simply. Lyra looked up at him, her voice gentle. And I'm glad I chose you. Together they walked back to their home, ready for whatever new adventure awaited them beyond. The stars and beside the garden they had grown with hope and happiness.